Welcome, everybody, to the Fantasy and Frames Dynasty 365 show. I'm your host, Stacy Perez. Tonight, we have got Chris Burns here in the house. We have also got Tyler Heil. Guys, we are going to be wrapping up our free agent running back talk this week. Let's go.
You know what, Stacy? Let's just jump into it because someone removed our intro song from the StreamYard deck. So,
oh, no.
I got nothing for you.
Glimpse behind the curtain, dear listener. All right, so we will just move on. If you guys know our song, just play it in your head and you'll get there. Guys, in the chat, don't forget to put your questions, comments. We will get to all of those. We've only got 6 guys to talk about tonight, so we want to hear what you guys have to say about these running backs, about the favorite stuff from this weekend, just Dynasty stuff in general. Let's go ahead and talk about our favorite stuff from week 14. Is there a drop?
I think there is now. There is.
Woo, guys, this is an especially loose episode of Dynasty 365. You guys hadn't already caught that. The bar is open, so everybody crack open your favorite beverage and come join us. Chris, let's start with you. What are you drinking, and what was your favorite part of week 14?
Right now, I am drinking a Cab Sauv. Pinot Noir.
Ooh.
I've had too many. And my favorite part of the weekend is the Eagles losing to the Cowboys. Like, the Cowboys absolutely thumped them. Now, this is 2 weeks in a row that my favorite part of the weekend is Philly losing. And I do not hate Philly. I love Philly. I love all the players on the team. I love everything about them. I hate Nick Sirianni. I love to see him lose. Like, he has what somebody has described to me as a punchable face. And I 100% agree with it. So like his antics, when they won that game, against the Dolphins, and when they won against, Buffalo and everything, like he's a jerk. He looks like the little brother to like the biggest bully in Philly, and he thinks he's cool by association, but he's really not. So whenever he gets knocked down a peg or two, I love it. So that's crazy, but that was my favorite part.
I saw something going around the internet, and for a second I had to think about it because I almost thought that was real. Do you guys remember Elf, the movie Elf?
Yes.
Christmas classic Elf. Do you remember the little brother in that movie? So I saw a bunch of comparisons between Nick Sirianni and like people saying that he played that child in the movie. Like, because if you look at them side by side, I wish I had thought about this beforehand so we could have like a clip to show the people watching. But just go Google it, trust me. And then I had to realize, I was like, yeah, he's not.
Man, that kid's way too cool.
Yeah,
way too cool to grow up with Nick Sirianni.
But I swear, I mean, he looks like he looks like he could be like a relative of Sirianni somehow. It's hilarious. Tyler, what are you drinking? What was your favorite part of the week?
I am drinking a Sauvignon Blanc because I'm fancy. It came from a box. I actually I couldn't get the rest of it out of the box before the show started, so I cut the corner open with scissors and I dumped it into the glass.
Resourceful. You didn't just chuck it straight from the box.
I really wish you had of.
Yeah. I had a friend in college who would bring box wine to the movies in her purse, along with like glasses, so that she could like drink in the movies.
We would do Tour de Franzias in college with teams of 4. Needless to say, my team won. What do you think the time was in which 4 of us finished a box, aka I think it's 2 liters of wine, something like that? No, it's 2.25 liters of wine.
1 minute, 20
seconds. You're being too kind. It's 3 minutes and 22 seconds. That's not easy.
For all of you to do it? Were you taking turns? What were you doing? How did this?
Yeah. You had to drink it from the bag.
The bladder?
Yeah. Like you pull the bladder out, you drink it from the bag. And obviously this is a very much pre-COVID thing, but yeah, you all drink it from the bag.
Wow, that is fancy. We had 40 hands. Edward 40 hands. We tape a bottle.
We did that in high school. We got that.
Oh.
You're so advanced.
What was your favorite part of the week?
So I had a few. First, it was just Jake Browning. I mean, that dude, that's so awesome. Yeah. He's been barely hanging on in the league for like 6 years. And finally, he gets his chance with the Bengals and he goes off. One of the coolest facts I learned about Jake Browning, I'll give you both one guess. You just don't think about it. Just throw a number out there. How many touchdowns do you think Jake Browning threw for in his senior season of high school? Go.
56.
91.
Oh my
God. Wow.
Yeah. So good for Jake Browning. I mean, that's a really awesome story. It truly is. And my other one is just like I've been watching the games more with my son, who's just about to turn 8, and he just thinks everything is so cool. Like it, just the exact thing I remember is at the end of the Vikings game when Ivan Pace intercepted that ball to intercept that to end the game. Runs down the field and does a backflip, and my son's just losing his mind. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good reminder. Sometimes this game is really effing cool, and it's a lot of fun. And these guys are absolute superhumans, and I think we just get desensitized to it, watching it every week. So it helped me step back and appreciate just how much fun it is to watch the game, and just that we get to sit here and talk about it for an hour on Wednesdays. It's awesome.
That really is fun. Tower, it's like stuff like that is like one of the only reasons that makes me want to have kids is to be able to watch sports with them, like when they're little.
Oh, I'm gonna force them, and my son's gonna be very excited, Stacy, when he finds out about our Hurricanes tickets. I don't want to say that too loud.
Is he?
Yes, he is a Browns fan. I have finally convinced him. He has stopped trolling me and saying he's cheering for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have doomed him to a lifetime of sadness. So that's how you know I really love him.
That's his inheritance. Lifetime of sadness. Jamie, we see you in the chat. What is up? Thank you for coming to hang out with us tonight. Gosh, my favorite thing. Well, first off, I'm drinking a red blend here. I actually got the bottle here in case I run out, which I can refill. Jamie, whatever you're drinking, please put it in the chat. All of our listeners, we want to know what you're drinking. So my favorite thing from this week. All right, so this is gonna sound a little mean. Probably all the memes that were generated after Patrick Mahomes demanded to speak to the manager on Sunday. I mean, that last play was amazing. Like when Kelsey threw that ball to Tony, like I literally jumped off my couch and yelled, and scared the pets. That was amazing. And I feel bad that did get called back. But if that wasn't the most Kadarius Toney play, like or penalty to ever happen, like I don't really know what is. But the memes were just phenomenal that came out this week. So I enjoyed those very much. Jamie's just drinking water. You just left work, so that means you can enjoy an adult beverage when you get. I don't know if you're on your way home. I hope you're listening to us on your way home. That would be nice. But anyway, all right, guys. As promised, Gator is drinking cough syrup. Hopefully it's not Jamarcus Russell cough syrup. Hopefully it's not that.
Sipping on that scissor.
Yeah.
Had me feeling good last week.
Yeah. So, to each their own. No judgment here. It's a judgment-free zone, guys. So as promised, we are going to talk about the last group of our free agent running backs, free agents to be. They're going to be coming up in 2024 and potentially with new teams. And we're going to talk about what a move could mean for their dynasty value. So, Chris, kick us off. Who's your guy?
All right, so my guy, the first one I'm going to talk about tonight is one J.K. Dobbins. He is currently a running back for the Baltimore Ravens. Is in his third year, drafted out of Ohio State in the second round, but he's currently on the injury reserve with an Achilles injury. It's quite unfortunate. He's finishing up a 4-year, $5.7 million contract. And Dobbins will become an unrestricted free agent going into 2024, his age 25 season. And unfortunately, the biggest thing that you can say about Dobbins in his career is that injuries have just been his biggest detriment. He had the sizzle. He looked like he would be a valuable running back in the league, but injuries have just kept him off the field. Since logging 15 games in his rookie season, he's only played in 9 total games the past 2 years. He missed the entire 2021 season, due to that torn ACL. And in 2022, he had a hard time staying on the field. He came back, he played a few games, he went out, had some a scope done on that knee again to try to clean that up, and then missed some more games after that. This year, it looked like Dobbins was finally going to be the alpha in Baltimore. But in week 1, that Achilles injury took him out. He was having a pretty good game also, and that injury took him out. But watching that game, I was watching it, and he was running the ball well. It looked like he was going to score, and he comes out the game he's hobbling and all that stuff, but he seems fine on the sideline. And I'm like, that is an extremely tough dude to blow your Achilles, and you're still hobbling around, trying to walk it off. I strained my Achilles early this year, and it took me 3 months to walk normal. So, Tyler said earlier, these guys are superhuman. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. So, the continuous season-ending injuries that he had 2 in the last 3 years. It makes it hard to trust Dobbins going forward. If he hits the market, I'm thinking that, if any team brings him in, that you really can't expect him to be any more than a committee piece. And I'm not exactly sure if he'll have a major role in that, if he does. I don't think he'll ever get a crack at being the 1A anymore, unless it's due to an injury where he gets in and he actually shines. I think a lot of places want to see him actually stay on the field. In dynasties, he's kind of a wild card. Despite his flashes, the only thing he's really proven to us is that he cannot handle the workload of an NFL running back. He just can't stay on the field, and availability is the best ability. I personally have been trying to move Dobbins, in so many leagues, and there is no market that I found for him. So at this point, my best bet is just to hold and hope that the fantasy gods pull some strings in the offseason. He lands someplace and he actually gets a chance. I'm rooting for the guy. I like him. I'm hoping that, he can come back from this. It's just really sad to see, every other year, a season-ending injury and him never really, getting a chance to launch.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, who do you have for us tonight?
I have the Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Remembering where he came from, he is 24 years old. He'll be 25 before the start of next season. He is just finishing out his rookie contract because the Chiefs declined his 5th-year option after they took him with the 32nd pick in the draft. His career numbers are actually pretty good. Granted, it was in a Mahomes offense, but still they're pretty good. 4.3 yards per attempt in his career. 50.3% success rate in his career. For context, that would put him tied for 18th in the NFL this year, so pretty good number. He's over this year is 18th in attempts per broken tackle, so essentially he averages 1 broken tackle per 12.8 attempts. His effective play rate is 5.9%, which is not good. And if we remember from last week, effective play rate is a stat that I made up, and he would look like CEH would look like a stud in the XFL. That's just mean. So
Jamie's got the jokes tonight.
He does. So he's not super efficient with 10+ yard runs. His explosive play rate is 0. He has not had any runs of 20 or more yards, so that's a little disappointing. I I can't really comment on Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a fantasy player this year because he simply doesn't have enough stats to really go over. I mean, he played last game without Isaiah Pacheco. He went 11 for 39, and he caught 2 balls for 29 yards. Whatever. It wasn't a great game for the Chiefs. The Chiefs offense is looking real weird this year. But that said, I still think he can be useful in the NFL. He still has that first round draft pedigree. He was really good at LSU. I mean, honest to God, I still remember evaluating these guys coming out, and I remember a quote from Joe Burrow of, "Who do you think is the best player on this team?" Or something like the most unheralded player on this team. And he immediately said Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I just think he's better than he gets credit for. And the Chiefs somewhat set him up to fail when they drafted him. Oh, this is the next Brian Westbrook. Well, you're screwed. Sorry, not a lot of people are Brian Westbrook. So that's kind of a tough name to live up to. Now, I don't believe that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be a huge difference maker in your fantasy lineup. He could get a backup job somewhere and have the opportunity to come in and play well in place of someone, although I think he's going to need a very good running team and a very good coached, very well coached running team. He has solid pass catching ability. His career yards per reception is 8 yards per reception, which anything over 7.5 is pretty good for a running back. It's 81 receptions in his career. So all that said, decent stats for his career. Nothing special. Not a lot of these running backs are super special. He could probably go be a number 2 option somewhere. And if he lands on a really good team, like backing up CMC in San Francisco, which I would really like, since Elijah Mitchell can't stay on the field and Jordan Mason's just kind of meh. He is what he is. So I would love to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire go somewhere like San Francisco and be a number 2 option. Would I trade anything for him? Probably not. I mean, maybe if someone would accept a 4th round pick, but I kind of want to take a shot on a 4th rounder in this year's draft and see if I can get it right. So if you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm trying to say all 3 names every time, and I'm just stumbling all over it.
You've had too much wine.
Yeah, if you have CEH on your roster, I'm holding. I'm not going to just shoot him into the sun for a 4th or 5th round pick. I'd rather sit on it and see if he goes somewhere to be a backup and the starter gets injured and he has some starting potential for half a season. That's worth more than what you're going to get for him in a trade right now. So the best thing I can say about him is his meh, and I think he can be a good backup and a good football player.
Is he better than Dearness Johnson?
Ooh.
No. I watched Dearness Johnson quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you did.
The Browns. He was a really good backup for Chubb. I mean, and he's kicked Tank Bigsby to the curb in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Jags really wanted a number 2. They wanted a 1B to Travis Etienne, and they tried to draft it with Tank Bigsby. It hasn't worked out.
Right.
In the last month or so, Dearness Johnson's really helped that offense run a little bit better, and he's caught the ball for them, and he's ran the ball well. So is he better than Dearness Johnson? I don't think so. Unfortunately, the NFL goes largely off of draft capital and perceived value. So he is going to get an opportunity before Dearness Johnson does.
That's true. I agree with you, though. I do think Dearness is better than Clyde is also.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the film says the same.
Yeah. Chris, you and I should have done a drinking game every time Tyler tried to say Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
We should
I
have.
really wish we had thought about that before.
Oh, we missed it.
Because we would have finished our wine by now. I like that we're all drinking wine too. Like that's great. If anybody's listening who has any connections to any wineries, we're open for sponsors. So just send them our way, guys.
We're all old.
Yeah.
We're old and sophisticated.
My stomach can't handle beer anymore. I'll spare you the details.
Sophisticated, not old.
Thank you.
We have sophisticated palates now. That's all.
I'm drinking boxed wine.
Okay, well, I wasn't gonna like repeat that. Fun fact about CEH is that I took him 4th overall in a draft about his rookie year, thinking that like he would be like the next coming right after getting drafted by the Chiefs, and that didn't end well for me. I'm just gonna put it that way. It did not end well for me.
It ended better for you than a lot of people that took CEH over Jonathan Taylor or DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, well,
let's remember CEH was the average. He was the 101 that year and like average draft position for rookie drafts. Like it, that wasn't an uncommon thing.
4th overall, guys. 4th overall. Name was, do I have any interest in letting Amari Cooper go? I have Amari Cooper in our fantasy and frames draft. You tried to get him from me earlier this season, and I wouldn't part with him. And in hindsight, I probably should have, considering what has unfolded this year.
I appreciated you not making the playoffs in our fantasy and frames league.
Yeah, I did not. I famously did not make the playoffs. I'm in 7th place, I think. Is that right?
Yep.
I think it's
Now I have the 1st and 6th pick. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Tyler, I didn't give Tyler my pick. I actually gave it to Jorge to get CJ Stroud. And Jorge gave my first pick to Tyler. So that's how that happened, everybody. Because everybody really wants to know what's going on in our fantasy leagues. Jamie says, so the Packers beat the Chiefs, DeVito beats the Packers, so that means DeVito is better than Mahomes. That, my friends, is called football math. You've heard of girl math. Let me introduce you to football math. That is how that
property applies, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So of course, Tommy DeVito is better than Mahomes, 100%.
I can't believe we wasted this on Amari DiMercato earlier this year.
Oh, Amari. But his name is so much more fun to say than Tommy, DeVito, Tommy Cutlets. Like Amari DiMercato. That's so much more fun.
It's not more fun to say than Tommy Cutlets. That is freaking awesome.
It's definitely more fun to say. If you say it in a really poorly worded Italian accent, it's more fun. It just is. All right. So, guys, I promise we're going to get to some more exciting names here in the league. But we do need to talk about one from the Chargers right now. Not to say that he's not exciting. I'm sure he's a lovely person. But that would be Josh Kelly. Drafted by the Chargers 4th round 2020 out of UCLA. So far, this has actually been his best season. He is just numbers wise. He has run at this point, through week 14 for 382 yards, 2 touchdowns. Typically, he's around 300-ish yards, with the exception of 2021. He missed a lot of games because of a knee injury. Obviously, he is the backup to Austin Eckler, which, he's kind of done. He had 2 standout games this year versus Miami and Kansas City, which is kind of impressive because those are both really good defenses. That's where both his touchdowns came. He's not gone over 100 yards yet in his career during a game. Not this season, not really ever in his career. This season, probably more so than others, he's really had the opportunity to kind of show what he's got with those injuries to Austin Eckler that have kept him out of games for so long. But really hasn't seemed to be consistent, put up consistent numbers, which is kind of disappointing. Honestly, you could probably say that of pretty much everybody in the Chargers offense. So it might just not be just him. But I mean, for our purposes here, this is the player that we're talking about. Now, of course, contract is also up this year, which we talked about him last week. If you guys were listening to that show, But even if let's say Austin Eckler leaves, right? Does that mean that the Chargers are going to re-sign Josh Kelly and have him be the guy in LA? No, right? Look at Tyler's face. Like, no, your eyebrows immediately like went up. No, it doesn't mean that, right? Because he hasn't really shown that he's got that number one running back, kind of quality to him. Honestly, the most likely thing that's going to happen is they probably either, if Eckler leaves, they're probably either going to sign somebody else or draft another guy to come in. He's a bye week fill-in, injury fill-in at most. Even then, you're probably not trusting him to go into your starting lineup unless you're really, really desperate. You're not trading him. You're not adding him to a trade, probably. You're not throwing him in, to make it more interesting. It's just one of those, unfortunately, again, kind of meh guys. Doesn't really add a lot to your roster. He's probably not, he may not even be rostered in your dynasty league, honestly. So that is unfortunately kind of the story there on Josh Kelly. Wish him the best of luck. As we've seen, those backups in the NFL tend to make quite nice money. So, if he can stick around, he'll end up making some good money here and there. But as far as our purposes, probably not much else to add for that. So Chris, talk to us about somebody who might have a little bit more impact on our fantasy teams.
Please.
All right. I mean, here's hoping. So I'm going to talk about one Mr. King, Derrick Henry. Henry, he's been around for a while, and I mean, he's been kind of studly, when he finally did get the training wheels taken off and he became the man. For his career, though, he's made $56.4 million at the end of the season. So, I mean, run, young man, run. So Derrick Henry, he is currently the Titans running back, drafted in the second round out of Alabama. Roll damn Tide. Henry is in the final year of his 4-year, $50 million contract, and he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2024 after those void years total on that contract. He'll be entering his age 30 season in 2024. So he's had a few laps around the sun. So far this year, Henry has rushed for 875 yards with 10 touchdowns. He's had those 23 receptions for 202 yards. And, so while some may think that's not really up to the standards of what they have come to expect for Henry, I mean, if you consider the Titans' offensive line is not good. Coming into the season, it was patchwork. It was not good. His QB play has been probably worse than the offensive line. Has not been good. So keying in on him a lot, and that could have limited his production. There was a lot of talk at the trade deadline about Henry possibly getting moved, which would have been nice to see him go somewhere else to a competing team. But unfortunately, that did not happen. In 7 years, I mean, Henry has been the workhorse there, with over 1,900 carries in his career. If he moves on from Tennessee, I am not sure what the perfect landing spot for Henry would be. I'll ask you guys after, this, after the running back carousel ends, I don't know where's a good spot for him. I think he can go to a team. I would love to see him go to a place where he can compete, where he doesn't have to carry the ball 300 times, and he can just do what he's good at. Because it does seem like he's lost a little bit of that burst, or a little bit of that strength. He's not trucking people as much as he did, in previous years. And it seems like all those carries may be starting to catch up with him. I mean, in the course of his career, he's run over 1 3/4 miles from scrimmage, At age 30 and the current running back landscape, I don't see him getting paid big money, for the next place that he lands. Although I just really hope he gets a chance to go for a championship, because he does seem like a good guy. He's quiet. He's about his business. He just packs his lunch pail and he just goes out there and gets those dirty yards. In dynasties, it's kind of like Dobbins, except I've been trying to sell Henry for 2 years because I personally would like to get off the train before it goes over the cliff, and he's been proving me wrong consistently, but if you're trying to move him now, I don't know exactly what you can get for him. If you look at the trade analyzer on DLF, they're saying that he's somewhere around between a first and a second round pick in 2024 or 2025. And I'm not sure anybody in a dynasty league will give you that unless it's right now and they're hoping that he can carry them to a championship. But if you wait till the offseason, good luck. But that's where we are with Henry right now. I mean, so I'll ask you guys, like, where's a good place for Henry to go, even like with the age and like all the mileage? Like, where do you think he'll like fit in nicely?
I came up with one while you were talking, just looking at the list of teams, and I don't like it for me personally as a football fan, but I think he would do really well in Cincinnati.
Ooh.
Okay.
That is a good one. What do you think, Stacy?
Really good fit for that offense.
This won't happen because it's in division, but I thought it might be fun if he went to Houston. So Singletary is on a 1-year deal there also. So he's going to be a free agent. I think that's what is right. Yeah, Singletary was done there.
Trading him, he's free to sign wherever he wants.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's true. They're not trading him. Yeah, because he's a free agent. Hello.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
He could go to Houston. I don't know if they'll want to pay him, but he could go. And I just thought that'd be a lot of fun, him there with with CJ Stroud and that like young crew. And I mean, I don't know that they're like ready to win a championship at all, but like what a fun team to be a part of right now.
What about Miami?
Why not?
Yeah.
Because Mostert, I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. And instead of having all these patchwork running backs behind them, like I think that Henry would pair well with Achane.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely cannot have or cannot not have the double negative there, a 1A, because Achane's not a 1A.
Correct.
He's a 1B. He will never be. He's too small to be a 1A.
Absolutely.
He's a super explosive back that needs someone to eat carries in front of him to allow him to be that explosive back.
Agreed.
So all of that means, yeah, I completely agree with you, Chris. I think that would be a great fit for him, even if it's just for a year.
Yeah. Or Atlanta.
Ooh.
That's the caveat to every single running back.
Yes,
you know what? I don't know where he'd fit, but Atlanta.
I saw a TikTok today, and it was like, it said Arthur Smith when he knows that the ball is going to go to one of his top draft picks, and it shows him like running down the field to the ref yelling, "Time out, time out, time out, time out."
Stacy, before you said that, my mind immediately went to the Michael Scott. No, God, no.
No. No, what episode is that from?
I don't know.
You don't know? Come on, Chris.
No, I'm not an Office fan.
That's first off, wow, that's so much to unpack. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna have to do a whole nother episode on why Tyler's not an Office fan. It's
cringe
from
humor. I don't do cringe humor. That's why.
It's from the episode when Toby comes back and Michael learns that Toby still works there. And he's like, "Do you guys know who Toby is?"
Yeah, he's the Scranton Strangler.
No, that's true. Well, yeah. The HR guy that Michael has this like just struggle with. Yeah, hatred, exactly. It's hilarious. Anywho, Jamie is drinking some Boone's Farm. He got himself an adult beverage. Good job there.
It better be Strawberry Hill.
Yeah, let us know exactly what kind in the chat, please. And Tyler, while Jamie is letting us know that, tell us about DeAndre Swift.
All right, Mr. DeAndre Swift. He'll turn 25 before the end of the season. After he can probably be in line for what I think is like a Miles Sanders contract, which it's unfortunate to kind of compare him to that because Miles Sanders has been insanely disappointing, and he came from the Eagles where Swift is now. Yeah. But they're not the same player. I think the contract was a good comparison, around $6.5 to $7 million a year. I think that's what he should be aiming for this offseason. Everything DeAndre Swift has ever done tells me that he's a pretty good running back. 4.6 yards per attempt for his career, 7.3 yards per reception in his career. He's had almost 200 receptions in 4 years. He's missed about 10 games, which I know that was kind of a knock on him of the best ability is availability. Mm-hmm. He's never missed significant time. he's consistently missed insignificant time, which kind of adds up. But he's played, I think it's 13, 14 games in the first 3 years of his career. So has not had a major injury. This year he's 18th in attempts per broken tackle. His effective play rate isn't super encouraging, 7.9%, so 40th in the NFL. Explosive play rate, so percent of his carries that go for 20 plus, he's 12th in the league, 3.4%. His success rate is 51.1, so 17th in the league. So what all that adds up to is maybe he's not getting a bunch of 10-plus yard carries, but he's making the most out of what's blocked for him, and he's creating explosives, being 12th in the league in explosive play rate. So that's encouraging to me. Fantasy-wise, he's RB 19 on the season overall. He's RB 24 in points per game with 11.5. The Eagles have, let's just call it is. They've been forced to grab their ankles for the last 2 weeks. They've not played well. That was the cleanest version of what was.
What does that mean, Tyler? I don't understand. What does that mean?
So the last 2 weeks, Swift has gone from the RB7 overall and the RB15 in points per game with 12.9 to the 19 and 24. His average has dropped to 1.4 points in 2 weeks. So it's just been a really bad 2 weeks for the Eagles. And frankly, I know they haven't been crushing bad teams, but they're still a good team. And when you play the 49ers and the Cowboys, it's a rough go of it. I think he can be a 1A next year, wherever he goes. I don't think the Eagles are going to sign him to a contract extension. The Eagles don't pay running backs. They don't draft running backs. They don't value the position. They feel that they can go into the season and find a former second-round pick for a fifth-rounder and just a team that wants to launch a running back into the sun and be successful with that offensive line. He can be a 1A. He's not an alpha. That's not a knock. Not many of these guys are alphas. There's maybe 5, 6, 7 in the NFL that are. So he's going to need a 1B. I think he would do really well in a place like Baltimore, where you have Lamar, who's, frankly, he's not running that much anymore. He ran a lot last week against the Rams. Lamar he's a quarterback. Now, he's not a running back anymore. He's throwing the ball really well, so that offense has been really impressive this year. I think he'd be a good fit with them. So trade-wise, right now, if I'm trading DeAndre Swift, I want a first. I want a late first. I want a competing team to give me a first. Otherwise, I'm not trading him.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait for him to land in a spot that's going to increase his value, and I will sit on that and wait for his value to increase. So it's a first or nothing for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's going to Dallas.
Dallas. Ooh. Shout out to football guys in the chat.
If they had Tony Pollard still, which they won't because they just franchised him and set a precedent for Tony Pollard earning more than he's worth, DeAndre Swift and Tony Pollard would be a killer 1-2 punch if a team can figure that out. That would be awesome.
That's it. That's a sexy little duo. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that would be.
And they both have a similar skill set, which is neither of them is like focused on one thing. They both have a good all-around skill set. I think that would be a awesome 1-2 punch.
Yeah, very interchangeable. Not like tipping your hand when one of them comes in the game. That would be.
Be fun. Jerry, if you're listening, we have some ideas for you. Jamie just wanted to clarify that he's not drinking Boone's Farm, but he is recommending that we use them as a sponsor. Has not had that stuff since high school. Jamie, if you have a contact over at Boone's Farm, listen, we will drink anything that anybody wants to send us for free. So we're not.
Find a contact of Boone Spark.
Yeah,
What
this
about
is
Bartles and James? Does that still exist?
Huh?
Are you all too young for Bartles and James?
I think maybe.
Never mind.
Maybe.
With the two old guys on the
Moving
board,
on.
and they're like, "Thanks for your support." You guys don't remember this commercial?
Oh.
I'm just joking. Me neither.
What? No, I don't know who that is. All right. Speaking of people that are alphas, I'm going to end on one who is probably an alpha here. That would be one Josh Jacobs, because I'm only allowed to talk about people named Josh this week. Josh Jacobs, drafted 2019 first round, pick 24 by the Las Vegas Raiders. He is 25 years old. His career earnings, for those of you who are interested, $23 million. Guys, if you remember, Vegas declined his fifth-year option and tagged him. And then right before the season, he signed a one-year, $11 million contract after sitting out for most of camp. His career stats, he's had 3,000-plus yard seasons. 2021, he was 955, so pretty close to that. We're all going to remember 2022 when nobody wanted to take him. And those of you who were smart enough to take him were rewarded with a 1,600-yard season, 46 touchdowns on his career. Right now, as of week 14, he is sitting at 805. Probably going to hit that 1,000-yard mark if things continue to go well for him before the season ends. He's a smidge away from 1,500 yards of rushing on his career. And right now, Sleeper ranks him as the 12th overall running back this year in fantasy points. So hasn't really looked like it. Vegas has been kind of a hot mess this year. But Josh Jacobs has continued to put up points. Obviously not as many as last year, but you know, when you put up that many points in one year, you're probably going to regress the next. Now, his backups, this is what we need to talk about, right? So his backups in Vegas are Amir Abdullah, who is, do you guys know how old he is? Don't look at the show sheet. Don't look at it. Tyler, I see you.
I'm not looking. I'm looking at I'm looking at E&J Gallo contacts because they appear to be the manufacturer of Boone Spark.
E&J
I think Amir.
Focus.
I remember him coming out of Nebraska quite a while ago. I'm gonna go 29.
Yeah, didn't he play in Nebraska with Tommy Frazier?
No idea.
Again, too old. Sorry.
He is 30. He is 30. He is on a one-year deal with the team. And then we've got Brandon Bolden, former New England Patriot. How old is he? Anybody want to guess?
42.
33.
Close. He is 33. Good job, Tyler. Price is right style. Got it. Yes. He is also on a one-year deal. And then we've got Zamir White, who's still on his rookie deal. Okay. So probably, you know, the only guy who's probably going to be around next year, other than possibly Jacobs, is Zamir White. Now, none of those guys, all three of them, you know, really haven't flashed during the time that they've been with the Raiders. You know, like I said, White is probably the only one who's still going to be on their roster next year just because he is on that rookie deal, not because of the production that he's shown during the time that he's been there. Is Jacobs going to be a Raider next year? Who knows? If you'd asked me before they fired Josh Daniels, I would say no. For sure, no. But it seems like things have gotten a little less tension filled since Jacobs got the axe back on, like the day after Halloween. I think that's when that happened. Anyway, it was following week 8, whenever that actual day was. But the reports that I read when I Googled Antonio Pierce and Josh Jacobs were all really glowing, said that they had a good relationship, that Jacobs felt that, you know, talking to Pierce made him feel like for the first time that he might still be a Raider in 2024. So who knows, maybe a change in management there has kind of helped with that. And maybe he does stay. I mean, if you're talking about those three guys that are still there, that are on the depth chart versus, I mean, I'd obviously rather have a 26-year-old next year, Josh Jacobs, right? And then any of those three dudes. Yeah, I sure would. So who knows? And I mean, who knows what you're going to get out of this year's draft class if you decide to let him go and draft somebody else. Probably not getting somebody who's going to produce as much as Josh Jacobs does. So maybe they'll pay him, maybe they won't. But I feel like there's kind of a 50-50 chance that he may end up in Vegas this year. Now that, you know, and that I guess all depends too if Antonio Pierce still keeps his job. If not, you know, what the new guys incoming are going to say. Chris, you don't think he's going to keep his job, do you?
No chance.
No, why?
No chance. I mean, you know, because like the interim, and it's Davis. Like Davis is they're wild cards. He is going to try to make a splash. He's going to try to bring in a big name coach, another GM. They're resetting everything. Yeah, nobody in that building is coming back next year.
Patriots West. Who knows, guys? That's probably the most likely answer result. Dynasty value. Look, if you're selling, you want a first round draft pick for Josh Jacobs, 100%. If you're buying him, that's what you're going to have to pay, right? So if doesn't matter if he's with the Raiders, with somebody else, if you really want to get this player on your team, that's what you're going to have to give up to have him. So you better have a really good first round draft pick because the 12 isn't probably going to do it. So make sure you've got one of those early or mid round first rounders that you're willing to part with if you want to acquire him. So,
well, let me ask you this, Stacy.
Huh?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So, would you trade, like in a dynasty right now? Would you trade Josh Jacobs for Tony Pollard?
Ooh, no.
Or would you trade Tony Pollard for Josh Jacobs?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I would trade Pollard for Jacobs, but I would not trade Jacobs for Pollard. I like Tony Pollard. I haven't liked what I've seen this year when it's been his role.
Right.
When he's been in the RB1 role, I haven't liked him as much as I have in the past. And I don't really know what that means. I don't know if that says more about his talent and his ability, or if it just says something to say about their offense and how they're using him. But I don't like what I've seen this season from him in the role that he's at. So,
agreed. I was asking for a friend named Chris Burns.
Do you have Jacobs or Pollard?
I have Pollard, and I just got offered before we went live, Jacob straight up.
Did you do it?
Not yet.
Are you in the playoffs?
But right now, smash.
Yes,
smash
I am in the playoffs, but I'm a mid seed. I'm a 5 seed. I'm 5 out of 6.
Smash it.
All right. We can dissect this.
I like it.
Maybe not right now.
All right.
I like it. I think you should do it. What's up, Dakota? Jets family in the house. Have a lot to be happy about with your Jets this week. Zach Wilson showed up. Garrett Wilson, thank you for your 20 points.
Quarterback, Zach Wilson.
And they're playing Miami in December, so that's probably a win for you this weekend.
Did you guys see the RG3 comment? I forget whatever show he's on, but he was talking about Zach Wilson and he was like throwing bombs and kissing moms, which is a nicer version of the t-shirt that Nate Markham has. But that he actually said it on live TV was hilarious.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think he said, if I could get one quote from Zach Wilson, it would be, I like throwing bombs and kissing moms.
Yes. I would die happy if Zach Wilson actually said that in like a press conference or like in an interview on the sideline or something like that. Like that would just, that'd be hilarious.
I'd actually like Zach Wilson if that happened.
The comedy value is just fantastic. All right, guys. So that is going to do us for tonight. Guys, don't forget that. Oh, hang on. Before I do that, hang on. Dakota's got a little comment here I want to get to. In the AFC, if the Ravens don't go, he wants the Browns to go to the Super Bowl. He's very worried about Buffalo going this season. Winning the Super Bowl, he would be very, very, very furious. That's good, Tyler. Did you have him put this comment in about the Browns going to the Super Bowl?
It's Tyler's burner.
Yeah, is this Tyler's burner account?
I was too busy researching Boone's Farm marketing to.
No, I think you were after or something like that. That's what you were Googling.
Okay. I would love to see it. I think the Browns are too injured.
If the Browns go to the Super Bowl, like even if they just make it to the Super Bowl, like what are they doing with Deshaun Watson? You got to eat him, right?
Yeah. No, Deshaun Watson's your starter next year, even if they go to the Super Bowl. Deshaun Watson is a starter. But that said, I really think they will seriously consider a quarterback in the second round of the NFL draft. This being a Dynasty show, we have not gotten into our prospect breakdowns yet, but there are some very good quarterbacks at the top. There's Caleb Williams, there's Drake May, there's Jaden Daniels. I think there's a handful of very good potential NFL quarterbacks that can fall into the second round, a la JJ McCarthy, Quinn Ewers, Michael Penix Jr., people like that. So there's some opportunities in the second round if the Browns want to draft another quarterback.
No doubt.
That too is true from Jamie, that hell has indeed frozen over. And I can name a few other things that will happen if the Browns make the playoffs, but I will not do it right now.
Tyler, what would you trade for the Browns to
win the Super Bowl? What?
What would you trade for the Browns to win a Super Bowl?
I don't want to answer that. I don't appreciate that question, Stacy.
All right, well, you think about that and let us know next week, because, guys, we will be back here next week. Make sure that you have hit that subscribe button, follow us over here on the YouTube. Guys, you can find us at all over social media for Fantasy and Frames. Make sure to give us a follow over on the X. You can find Tyler at FFTylerHeil. You can find Chris over at Dynasty Deviant. I am at Stacy_Perez83. Guys, we have got you covered all week long. We have got Fantasy and Frames Wednesday, so stay tuned for the 4th and Frames, guys. Coming up tonight, we've got Shoot the Gap for you. We have got our DFS show also for you on Friday nights. We've got the Waiver Wire show for you on Tuesdays, and then on Sunday, we've got the Fantasy and Frames pregame from 9 to noon-ish. Depending on how long we like to talk about our games. But we've got you covered there. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight, and we will see you next week.